Hey everybody, welcome back to Haas Photography. Today we're going to go into the Path Blur tool and show you how you can use it to blur a person and give her more of a realistic kind of motion feel to her. So right now I have the model right here on a layer, and if I disable the layer mask, click on the layer mask and hold shift, you can see that she was shot in the studio. And then I just kind of made a mask for her using the path tool and a couple other things, I guess. So you can see the mask. So what I want to do first is I want to duplicate that layer. That way, if I decide I need to go back to it for any reason, I can do that. So I'm going to turn off the original layer. So I'm just working with just the one layer. And what I want to do is apply the layer mask to the model. So right now I only have the model just on a layer without the mask. You have to apply the layer mask to the model in order for the blur to go beyond the boundaries of the actual mask. So what I want to do first too is I want to make her a smart object. That way I can go back and readjust any of the path blur filter that I put on her. So I did that. I'm going to go to Filter, Blur Gallery, Path Blur. Click on that. Initially it'll automatically give you one blur arrow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out down at the bottom here where her legs are, which is going to be the most motion. Now this is going to be the beginning of the blur, this one, and this is the direction of the blur. You can see the arrow right there. So if I click on the very first portion, I'm going to give that just a little less blur. So it gives a little bit more direction where it's blurring towards this direction, make it look like her legs are kind of moving. And that looks pretty good. I'm going to click on this one. Maybe you just bring this one down just a little bit more. And what I can do here too is I can add as many little blur lines as I want. So I'm going to click on another one right here and just kind of add a little bit more towards her hand area. So I'm going to click on the first one. I'm going to kind of take that back a little bit more so it's not as blurred. I'm going to click on this one. I'm going to dial that one back just a little bit, just so I got a little bit of motion, kind of like her hands actually swinging from when she's walking. Now as you can tell, the top portion is also really blurred. I don't want as much blur going on in the face area. I'd like to kind of be able to see the face a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here and I'm going to add another one. I'll kind of go past her hat, and let's click on the first one and let's dial that back so we kind of can keep a little bit more shape into the front of her face so we can kind of see her a little bit more. Then I'm going to click on the back one and I'm going to dial that one back a little bit more too. So as you can see, now the top portion is not blurred as much. You can keep it a little bit more in focus, and you can blur the bottom a little bit more as you're kind of working. So the more lines that you put in this in direction of your actual blur, the more you can control it. So that looks pretty good up there. Maybe I add just a little bit more. Let's add just a little bit more towards the back portion and keep her face area just a little bit more sharp. It blurs kind of nicely through here. Got a nice little bit of blur going on there. Maybe we go back down and add just a little bit more blur towards her legs. Just kind of give just a little bit more blur, and maybe a little bit less through here. Maybe we add just one more. I'm going to click on that one, beginning. Just kind of dial it back. And this one, maybe just a little bit more. Show just a little bit of movement in their arm, the back side of it, how it bleeds nicely through here. Okay. Let's click OK. Let's take a look. This is where it was, the beginning. This is her blurred now. And I think that feels pretty good. So what I want to do, before I did this, I actually did a bunch of other adjustments on the model in order for her to look more like she's in the environment. So I'm just going to click on this. These are all the model adjustments that I made already. So what I want to do is I'm going to take this particular model layer, I'm going to put her inside that adjustment. I'm going to click on it, turn on all the adjustments in the folder. I'm going to bring this down towards the bottom now. And what I want to do is I'm going to turn on all these little adjustments that I did, and I'm going to create clipping masks so it's just affecting the model. So if I click on this and add a clipping mask to it, click on this one, and so on. Alright, so what we have here, let me just turn these all off now. So I had a little bit of darkness on the back side of the model, just to kind of darken the back side away from the sun. Next one, I kind of lightened the jeans area, put just a little bit more light on her shirt. Next one, I kind of just a little bit lightness on the side of her hand. And then I put a little bit more, started putting some highlights along the edge with just curves layers. Around the edge, kind of coming from where the sun is actually coming from. A little bit more. A little bit more. Felt a little bit dark, so I just brightened it up just a little bit. And then I just desaturated the reds just a little bit in her face and some of the blue in her coat or in her jeans. So right now I have her with all the adjustments on one layer. I can turn it on, turn it off. The rest of the shot is I put some little lens flares on the bike, which I don't know if you can see that. I'll zoom in just a little bit more so you can kind of see a little bit of the skinkles I put from the sun, where the sun would probably hit the side of the chrome, add just a little bit of flare to it. I'll zoom back out. And I put a sun flare in here, which I can turn this off and add just a little bit more color to it and a little bit more flare. Just kind of brighten it up a little bit. I also added a little bit of grad around the bottom, just kind of darken it just a little bit. As you can see right here, it looks a little bit unnatural with her being so bright right in this area. A little bit of grad just kind of brings her more to the ground, makes her feel like she's more a part of the environment. And then the last layer I have here is what they call a noise layer. Just to add a little bit of film grain or whatever to the image overall. So that is it. If you like the video, please subscribe. I will be producing more videos on some of these in-depth blurs and things that you can do with them. That's it for today. Have a good one.